trickle down his neck beneath his flying suit. A burst of static rang in his headphones, and he looked up to see the escort fighter tip its wings and peel away to the north. "Align," he told the crew. "We're on our own." He repeated himself twice, hoping to be heard above the roar of the twin exhausts, mounted just to the rear of the cockpit. The night had been clear, but now a great billowing ridge of cloud thudded against the aircraft, threatening to shake it out of the sky. They had been easy prey for British fighters, but now they were safe. Clouds had been forecast by Berlin, and clouds there were. The cheer from the crew was reedy but unmistakable. They had left the realm of the revealing moon. Bartle took the aircraft above 18,000 feet to make sure they were firmly embedded in the high cumulus, but nevertheless there were intermittent glimpses of the land below, and so they saw towns twinkling faintly, despite the strictures of the blackout. Bartle smiled, because it meant there was a chance they were not expected, and that all attention had turned to the raids on the south coast. The Heinkel laboured onwards east. The crew was silent, but he knew they were all doing exactly the same thing, counting to themselves, recognising that as each mile went past, they were, paradoxically, getting closer to home, or at least to a homecoming. All they had to do was destroy the bridge, then melt away and fly back across what his father and grandfathers had all called the German Ocean. This was not their first sortie. They had flown nuisance raids for a month, designed to harry the enemy and train the crew for the heroics to come. Morale had been poor because they felt themselves excluded from the great battles over the airfields of Kent and Sussex, in which 500 bombers, 1,000 perhaps, rained destruction on the RAF below, clearing the path for an invasion by sea. But Oberst Frisch, the commander at Waren, had made it clear in his pre-flight briefing that this particular raid would write its own footnote in the history of this great war. Military intelligence had identified Bridge 1505, a box girder of steel, as a key link in the enemy's transport network. Destroy it, and the result would be chaos at a vital point in space and time. If the German landings came not on the south coast, but on the east coast, the British would be unable to rush men and arms to repel the invaders. 5 miles to the target, said the navigator. Bartle let the aircraft descend, and they quickly dropped below the clouds. Even on such a dark night, you could see below, strung across their path, a silver river. The old hands who'd flown in the Great War had said it was impossible to fly the bomber to its target without a clear sky and the moon. But Bartle and Schmidt had argued that the river would betray itself. And so it was. Bartle noted the time. "Walter?" "Ready." Schmidt pressed his face into the plexiglass sight and began to take pictures. The altimeter ticked down from 19,000 feet. Behind the reinforced steel bulkhead at Bartle's back, the bombs stood in 2 lines, cones upwards, held fast in place by iron clamps. Bartle struggled with the controls. He felt sluggish, and when he tried to think, logical progressions escaped him. He forced himself to concentrate on reading out their height. At 10,000 feet, he banked, turning the bomber south so that they could track the shining water. He braced himself against the pilot's seat and heaved up the bomb door lever. The noise doubled. The urge to override Schmidt's trigger and let the bombs fall now so that they could turn home was almost intolerable. Bartle could see the river's mirror below, briefly holding in its surface a black silhouette of the Heinkel. They'd expected anti-aircraft fire, but there was none. 5,000 feet, said Bartle. Target in sight, said Schmidt. Bartle heard the bomb clamps spring and, turning, saw the